Dan, I'm not trying to start a fight, but your thoughts or reactions to what Chris just said, or anything to add to that?
The only thing I would add to that is assuming you're not going the DIY path, when picking out or looking for an IDP, I would avoid anyone that comes with a Kubernetes distribution. I'm pretty confident that we're the only IDP framework on the market that is both Kubernetes and cloud provider agnostic. A lot of platforms will come, but they come with their version of Kubernetes because that'll lock you in to a flavor of Kubernetes. The other one would be any IDP that you're looking at. One of the first questions you should say is, okay, is this extensible? You come with a suite of tools integrated into the platform, but what if I want to use a different tool? And that is another benefit of GitOps. From a GitOps approach, we could deploy any tool of your liking like we would deploy any other application. So I would say make sure it's Kubernetes agnostic and it's extensible by Git.
Got it. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I want to delve deeper into that because that's important. I hear that a lot. So many app teams are very worried about being locked into a proprietary platform or IDP where tools are forced upon them. So I would like you and Chris to expand on that. Like, how do you address this preference, as far as not getting stuck into a world that you can't escape? Chris, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. The light bulb, I think, went off in the industry about a year ago. Dan, the guy's name's escaping me here. Victor Farchik had a YouTube post about a year ago where he combined two open source tools to build an IDP. And those, at the time, that was Argo CD and Crossplane. And I think when he made that post, he's kind of a thought leader in the DevOps space. The light bulb went off that you can use a GitOps approach, which Dan covers well in his book and talked about on this phone call, not only to deploy your applications, but to deploy your tools. And as I discussed earlier, there could be a couple dozen tools you need to put in Kubernetes before you're ready to put your applications into that environment. So the fact that you can also deploy tools with the GitOps approach means that you can extend the tools that you want with a GitOps-based IDP. So for example, if you choose the right IDP, it may not have the exact tools or the exact golden path that you've decided you want as a platform engineering team. But if it supports GitOps, that means it can actually support deploying any tool you want, assuming it has a containerized version of it. So GitOps is not just for deploying apps, it's also for deploying the tools of your platform, which is why Dan says in his book, and I wholeheartedly agree, that as long as your platform supports GitOps and multi-cluster networking, you can build an IDP on top of it.
Love it. Makes that simple yet powerful. Dan, any technical perspective to add to that?
I would actually add a little business perspective to that. And so, I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, is that whatever business you're in, whatever software you're delivering, chances are it's not platform software. You have a core application, or your customers have core applications that they're developing that they need to deliver to a cloud native environment. And an IDP that is extensible, that uses Git, that has multi-cluster networking, will be able to connect all those clusters and deliver your applications. And so Chris talked a little bit about the golden path. Now, if you were to use KOps, for example, you'll see we have multiple tools like Grafana and Prometheus for observability. We have Crossplane, which supports Terraform for infrastructure as code, and so forth. And so if any of those tools, if you use like something like Loci instead of Grafana or Prometheus, no problem. With our platform, you just deselect that. We won't install it. Point the platform to the Git repo that has your Loci YAML in it, whether it's a Helm chart or whatever, and we'll deploy it to whatever cluster you want. And so like Chris said, we can deploy apps and we can deploy tools, but really you just want to make sure from a business perspective that you are selecting an IDP that will really and truly enable you to deliver your core application, the reason you're in business.
Exactly. Love that. Yeah. Every business is a technology business if you look closely enough.